Hi, I'm Brian. I love dirt bikes, and I'm going to show you how to remove the fuel sending unit from your Corvette. There's two gas tanks on this. There's one that's on the driver's side, and the driver's side gas tank, it's the one that has the actual fuel pump in it. The passenger side tank actually has just a sending unit in it. It's like a relay unit that helps use the pressure from the driver's side to pump the passenger side back over. So, and then between the two tanks you've got a couple of lines. You've got an evap line, and then you've also got one that's for the fuel to feed through to go from one tank to the other, and it's inside a tube that is an overflow spillover tube for when you fill this. It fills up this side first, and then it overflows into the passenger tank, and then the passenger tank is expelled first, and then it switches back over to the driver's side tank. Kind of a fussy little system, but this way you get 9 gallons per tank for a total of 18 gallons capacity, you know, instead of having just the 9 gallons on the one side. So kind of a clever little way that they did it. Whichever side you do for, say for example, if you want to replace a pump because nothing's pumping, you'll want to pull this wheel off, and then also the wheel well all the way around, and pull it out, and then you'll have access through a little window back here that you can't see now. We're going to be doing the passenger side. If you have a code P2068 and your gas gauge isn't working, then most likely you need to replace the fuel sending unit that's in the passenger side. So let's get to it. Drain the tank this way. This braided line that you see here, there's just a quick disconnect. You got to use a quick disconnect tool on there, but you just clamp a hose onto there and then run it off into a gas can, and then you come over here to the fuse block, and it should open if you just push the tab. You got to sweet talk it, but you pull out the relay that's right here. There's two of them that are a little bit staggered. Look on your thing, and then there'll be one that says number 55. It's this one, and you just jumper this corner with the corner that's on there. Let me put it in, I'll show you which corners I mean. This corner right here to this corner. There's only 4 pins on it. I mean, it's not real wild and crazy, but anyway, you jumper those, and then you turn the key to the on. Well, you don't turn the key, you push the button because there is no key, but you just push the button, the top one once, so it lights up. Don't crank it over or anything, you just turn that on, and then the fuel pump will kick on and eject gas for you. If either way, you got to get some gas out. You only want about 2 or 3 gallons in the driver's side tank. It's the last one to empty. It empties passenger first, then it empties the other one. The reason being is that you have to pull out both of the aluminum pans that hold them in place so that they'll sag down, so that you'll have enough slack to get the crossover pipe out of one tank or the other, whichever you're doing. But if you have too much gas, it can cause some kinking and damage. The Corvette is so high quality that GM abandoned their side post battery and actually provided a nice quality top post battery. So go ahead and disconnect that. You'll want to pull the tire off. These generally don't get stuck on too bad, but if it's on there real good, just turn around backwards, kick it like a mule on the side like that. It'll come right off. Usually like to grab it by the spoke and support it by my leg, and that way when you pull it off, it comes off real even, and you just step aside, let it touch the ground. The next thing you want to do is you want to get underneath and pull off the aluminum plates that go on the bottom. There's 2 bolts on the outside, right there and there, and then on the inside next to the exhaust there's 3 bolts, 1, 2, and 3. And regardless of which side you're pulling off, right or left, you want to pull both of the plates off, right and left. Those plates are the only thing that really hold these in, but you want to pull them out because you see that tube up there? We'll get to that more later, but that tube basically is the link between the 2 gas tanks. One of the links, but the one pertaining to gas, it's the bridge between the 2. So in order to pull one tank out, you have to have enough slack to be able to pull that 3/4 of an inch out of the tank. It's about an inch out of the tank, and so you got to have one of them hanging down one side of the horse kind of far. It's a saddle tank. Yeehaw! We got to have one hanging down so that it'll allow it to pull that bridge over a little bit so that you can get it off. Alright, next we got to pull the wheel well. The wheel well has a little adaptation here. You can see this is an intake here. It just draws air by venturi, just like blowing over the top of a soda bottle. And it loops the air around into the brake caliper to cool the brake pads and the discs. Pretty cool little feature. So anyway, don't forget to pull the little fastener up here at the top. And then you've got just a whole bunch of other little fasteners around here, up in here, above the rotor, and back here. A bunch of little 7mm screws. So you need to pull all of those out, and then the whole thing will just come away. Got the wheel well and the wheel off. You want to pull out the little fasteners. You pull out the centers of them like you see here, and then they'll pull out. You pull off this cover, and voila. There's the sending unit you're trying to get to. You need to disconnect both of these two evap hoses. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And then also the two plugs that go into here and the wire harness. I just pull the whole thing out. It's a lot easier that way. On that white one, there's a little clip in the middle of it. You got to pull the clip all the way out of the plug first. And then there's also one on here that's either gray or purple. You got to pull it out all the way also. So here with your evap lines, you can see that they've been pulled off. This one's got the push button on it where you just push the little end piece here and it causes it to unbuckle. Other ones, see like that, other ones are like this where you have to pinch the outside so you can see where the little squares are. You just pinch those to undo them. See, for this one you just push in the button. These are the kind I like. And you got to stick your tongue out at the same time though. Anyway, that's the way those things you got to do here. There's a crossover pipe that has two lines inside of it. And the way that you get it off, I don't know if you'll be able to see real well, but you can see that black plastic square in the center of the frame. That needs to come out to the left. You just grab it with your finger or a screwdriver. It's got a little rounded tab to make it easier. You just pull that out to the left. And then this whole big collar that you see with the indentations in it rotates not even a quarter turn, like an eighth of a turn counterclockwise, and then it pulls straight out. And if those two lines stick on it, use a screwdriver to gently wiggle and pry those off. You want to be real gentle with the O-rings. There's 2 O-rings per line in them. And then next thing you do, up in there's a bracket, and you just pull this out of it. It's not clipped in or whatever per se. Well, it's kind of clipped in. It's just a little C. I mean, it just pulls right out of it. You don't have to unbuckle anything. And then up over the top, you see that white line. You got to push the button down on that and then gently twist it and pull it off for the evap. So I've got the crossover pipe out and off. Let me shove this up in there so you can see. So basically just pull it back, kind of kink it back a little bit. As you can see, I can't even see what you guys are seeing. You just kink it back. You can see there's that little hook or hanger. I've never even seen it. I just felt it with my hands. Maybe you guys could see it. But you just tuck that up over the top. That's the thing about this job is if you do it this way, it'll save you a ton of time and labor. You just can't see what you're doing. You just got to trust feel. Or use a mirror, not a magnet. Unless you can see with magnets. I don't know, the Insane Clown Posse's pretty impressed with them. We'll see. Alright, so we've got everything disconnected. The only thing that's holding the tank in is just the shape of it. We just need to yank on the tank and it'll come down. Just give it a gentle wiggle. And it drops right out. Just be careful with your hose coming down. So here's what the crossover pipe looks like. You've got your 2 fuel lines that are inside of it. And then you've also got your evap line. Let's just push button. You need to have the bottom of the car a good 20 inches or so off the ground in order to get the tank to clear out. What I do is just pull it back to the wheel well and then pull it through like this. And the tank is out. This is what the line looks like when it's all clipped into place. That's how it's supposed to be when you put it together. When you go to pull off the pipe, oftentimes the O-rings are dry and they'll pull that out of socket and they'll actually protrude out To get them off, you just take a screwdriver and then just pry them off. You can see there's a solid block of plastic that they're in, and you just put a screwdriver in the middle and just work it loose. Kind of a snap ring or something. What I do is I take a screwdriver and you just kind of tap it to get it started, and then you use a soft-faced hammer. You just drive it in until these high points, you see how they stick up here, go into these, and when this meets that, then you're done. You want to make sure that you've got a good seated O-ring. Now I did this part with two hands, but basically you've got a little bit of flex in that line for the float, and you can see this is the part that fails, is the surface of that corrodes. When you look at this one, you see how it's a nice silver color, and it just looks great. You know, around where the purple marker is, that moves up and down along that curve, and that curve is actually a printed wire, you know, just like a green printed board or whatever. The old one that came out, when you look at that, you can see it's kind of a copper color. I mean, they use a lot better stuff on the updated one. So anyway, once you get it in, you want to put some spray silicone on this O-ring too. This isn't something that you want to have an evap leak or something on in the future. Once is enough. It's a little bit of a bugger, but see, here's your evap line here that ties into the fuel sending unit for here, and then it goes across this one and to here. Make sure to get silicone on that too. You've got the line that hooks into here, which is a crossover pipe, and then you also have the evap line, and they're all the same kind of connectors, the little push button ones. Well, you see, like, you can't see it, but when you push on that, it opens up. You just, no special tool required, you just push on it, and then you assemble this or put it together. You want to make sure that you've got silicone on all the O-rings, just to spray silicone like you've seen me do in all my other videos. What this does, it helps to lubricate the O-rings so that it doesn't get pinched and cut. They bind really easily. So what you do is you fish this through. There's a couple different ways to do it. You can either fish it, this is the way I like to do it. This is the least invasive, least kink method that I've come up with. But basically, there's two connections. There's one that you go on straight on like this, and then there's this other one that goes on to here. So I like to click this one on first, and then I roll the whole thing over, click the other one on, and then with them both clicked on, you manipulate the float so that the float goes down into the tank first, and then once the whole thing's in there, then you have two hands. You fish this with the left hand down into the tank, and then work the sending unit in with the other. When this goes in, there's clips on it, and the clips hold to the outside, the expansion way. You see the hook on the back side here, how it clicks in, and then on the inside of here, you can see that there's that little slot right here. That slot corresponds with this little blade apparatus in the middle, and then there's a little one in the top for that too, like that.